We're back at it here again. J&J Dynasty. Just wanted to give you the final results of the draft. I've kind of given you several different aspects of the draft. So here's going to be kind of a recap of going into the draft, and the results after. So bear with me. I put a lot of information, put a lot of screenshots in here, so it may be a little bit convoluted, but we're going to go with it. Also, I'm still getting over a cold, so I've been a mucus factory for the last week. Not that you guys are going to enjoy that fact, but hey, there you go. So let's start off here with the for sale results, and hopefully I've got the slides in the right order. I've been messing around with this for about 2 hours, so I'm kind of done with it. All right, here we go. Oh, got to show the money shot, the logo, right? So this is one thing I wanted to point out to you guys coming in. You got to know where your team is at. And this, in a video prior to this, I said that I was trying to sell this team. My goal was to sell it. I bought it. The league wasn't very fun. The guys weren't trading, nothing like that. So couldn't make a big difference with what I was doing. So my goal was that I was going to sell it this off season. So I was trying to accumulate picks that would look good. So this was one of the examples of the trades or transactions that I did. Now I don't remember how I got both those thirds, but I was pretty active and I was dumping guys as soon as I got them off a waiver wire. If they had a big week, if somebody came and offered a third or a fourth round pick, I just took it, right? So when I actually came into this draft, that we're going to talk about for 2022. I had 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, a fourth and a fifth, I think is what I had for draft picks. So that's why I was trying to sell it. It was 1, 2, 111, 1, 2 or 111 or 112, and then 2, 2 and 211 or 212 and 3, 2, and then a later third round pick. But this is what I wound up doing with this. So this is how I got one of the second round picks. Even though that it wound up being this guy I thought he won the league, so maybe it was 212, and it'll be a pick later. But this is what I actually gave up to get that pick in this draft. So it was a third and a third and a Peterson. Now the nice thing, I will show you that I made a trade in the draft, and it's kind of getting back some of this asset, even though it wasn't with this asset. So. It's moving around and getting what you want when you want it kind of deal. So I just wanted to make sure that people saw something like this. And this was from 2021. This was prior to the trade deadline, right? So that's why Adrian Peterson was worth something. I knew that the guy, he was just basically the incentive to make it go. 2 thirds for a second. That's mostly a doable deal usually, right? To the second 2 rounds back, 2 picks in the round back to move up 1 round, depending on where they are. So that was I just wanted to add that into this. So just to give a little bit of background, right? So once again, we'll start off with the roster that I had coming into the year. Now this was the players that I had on the roster, and there's not a lot of stuff on there. And it's going to look drastically different after I get done with the draft. So this was a team that nobody wanted, right? This is a team that nobody would pay for, even though it had 2 first round picks, 2 second round picks, because nobody could see what it was, right? Or what it could be. And when I bought this team, like I said, I thought that it had better running back play. It had Chubb and Hunt. And Hunt is how I actually got one of the extra first round picks. So, so I think it was 112 and Marshall and for Hunt is what it wound up being. It was a first round pick in Marshall for Hunt last year. So that's what I came into the year with. All right. This was what I had on IR. So I had a couple of guys stashed on the IR, Corey Davis, Tunyon, Shark. We're all right. The rest of them wound up either getting cut or traded. I mean, I did keep Jameis Winston ultimately. So that was the IR and the taxi squad coming into the year, right? So now this was what I had in the year when I was finally getting ready had pared everything down. All right. So I still had a couple cuts here to make right at the end, right before my roster. And there, as you can see, some of the names have changed on there. I now have Darnell Mooney and Ridley. So I wanted to show you how and what I did coming up to the draft to get these picks, and then ultimately what wound up happening, right? So I think that this is going to be the next one. So coming into the draft on this pick, so now these are going to go from the bottom to the top as far as in order. I gave up a third round pick, which I figured would be a late one because the guy won the draft. And I figured, all right, if I'm going to sell this team again next year, right, I'm going to pick up Calvin Ridley and I'm just going to sit on him. I knew at that time he was suspended, so I was just going to sit on him. And I said, well, if I've got Bateman and Ridley, and if Shark or Corey Davis come through, or Russell Gage, then I've got the start of a nice wide receiving core. I'm at 1-2. I'm going to get Hall or Walker. So, I mean, that's what I'll have, a nice backfield situation. And this team should be a lot easier to sell next year because people aren't seeing the forest for the trees, right? So then I made another little trade, Wentz and Curtis Samuel. I got rid of a fourth round pick. And my thought process at this time actually was, I wanted to get rid of that fourth round pick. I needed to get it up into the third round is what I needed to do. So I got the fourth into the third, and I picked up 2 extra future fourth round picks, right? So, and Wentz and Curtis Samuel, I had planned on cutting anyways. So to me, this was a whole lot of movement for nothing. And he actually wound up cutting Curtis Samuel, I believe, in this draft. And then, so like I said, the 311 pick that I just picked up, I moved up, traded KJ Osborne, and I got 3.4 because my ultimate goal was I wasn't going to be using the players, and I needed to create a roster spot. So I was trying to run the picks up so that way I could trade them and get a future asset. Because I thought early third round, maybe I can get a future second, right? So that's where I was going with that. So we will release that one, and then we will go to the next one. So this is also prior to the draft, right? Okay. So when we're sitting here, and I like I said, I then jumped back to 310 for the 3-4, and I think that this one was during the draft. So that one's in the wrong order. So we got to get rid of that one. What did I do here? That one, no. Okay. Okay. So this was the big trade, right? These two are the big trades. Let's do this one first. So coming in, when, like I said, I was working towards making a better roster for a team, right? And again, I had a third round pick, extra third round picks. So as you just saw that, I had a 3-4 and a 3-6, right? I also had 3-2 yet. So I said, you know what? I like Hunter Renfrow, but I'm not in love with him. Darnell Mooney has a ton of opportunity. He's probably going to get 140 to 180 targets this year, right? And if he can be just moderately efficient, he could crack wide receiver 1 territory. So I'm like, all right, let me get rid of Hunter Renfrow to the guy who has Derek Carr and see if he wants him. Now, he already had Devontae Adams, I believe. And so I asked him if he's not sure if he wanted any more Las Vegas guys. But obviously he did. So I gave him 3-6 and Renfrow for Mooney. So now I've got Bateman, Mooney, Ridley next year for trading, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, well, I mean, if Hall does drop to me, that could be really good. If for some reason the guy really loves London or Burks in front of me. Otherwise, I get Walker, and that's still not going to be a bad situation to be able to sell next year, right? Well, lo and behold, right, then this guy comes in and throws this one at me. And I'm like, I'm sitting at, so, you got to remember, I'm trying to sell off picks at this point because I've got too many picks. So this guy's given me 2-7 for 2-2, and so moving back 5 spots, and I'm giving up Gibson for 112. And just with my knowledge with the guys who are going to be at the turn, most likely, because those guys were most likely guys I didn't want anyways. So moving back from 2-2 to 2-7 wasn't a big deal for me because the guys that I kind of liked in the second round would be there. So I figured I'd have a couple guys to choose from. So at this one, I jumped at this one. I said, even though Antonio Gibson's value is depressed, supposedly, that's what I'm doing. So if you think about it, and I showed you I told you about the trade before, right? For that 112, that was Kareem Hunt, and I gave up Kareem Hunt, and I got Terrace Marshall and the 112. So now the 2-2 pick was my pick because I was terrible last year in this league. So I moved back 5 spots to a place where I'm going to be able to get the guy I still want. So basically, I got for Hunt, I got Antonio Gibson and Terrace Marshall, and dropped back 5 spots. So that's kind of how I look at that one. So to me, that was a good play all the way through. And so I like that one, right? All right. Let's pop that one off. So, I mean, and the Mooney for the Renfro. So I think we're done with that. So let's get back into the slideshow here, right? There we go. All right. So, like I said, with this draft, I had the 1-2, and I came in and I wound up getting into the got Walker with the second. I tried to see if somebody wanted to jump up and give me something too much crazy, and there was no takers. So after 4 hours, I just picked Walker because that's where the ADP was, and I need running back help. I also need wide receiver help, but a little bit less because of those couple trades I made. But this is the zone that I skipped and I passed up by giving up getting Gibson for the 112 and the 2-2, right? A lot of guys really like these guys. I'm not as hot on them as some people, right? So they're all good players and they're all fine, but there's a lot of guys in there like Pierce, Zamir White, Davis Price, who was a huge reach. He should have only gone like in the early third, but that guy got, and that was a guy that I gave him that pick. So he got George Pickens and Davis Price with those picks for Gibson and 207, right? So that's that. So that was kind of the dead zone where I wasn't really happy with the guys who were going to be in that zone. All right. I think I made a fair move on this one. So what I wound up getting, because these were more so the guys that I was looking at, Spiller, Algier, Bell, Pierce. I mean, Brian Robinson, I thought might have been up in that the tier further up. So because I've seen him get picked there, but this is where I wanted to be, because these are some of the guys who I like more than those guys who were picked ahead of these guys, right? So let's think about this one more time, right? I traded Hunt for, now it winds up being Marshall, Terrace Marshall, Antonio Gibson, and 2.7, which is Bell. Now I did slide back 5 spots, and I lost that, but still, if I gave up Hunt and 5 spots in this draft, which I bypassed those guys, and I possibly would have selected Bell at 2-2. So I don't even look at it as a move back. I mean, I would have either selected Bell, Spiller, Algier, or Pierce. I mean, those were the top guys on my board. So sliding back into this range was perfect for me in the second round. And these are mostly the only guys I wanted in the second round. So with that being said, that's what I did, just because of the Deshaun Watson factor with Bell. And as of today's date, who knows what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson, right? So maybe I should have picked Alec Pierce. We will see. So with that being said, then I still had the 2-2 and the 3-2 because those were picks that I had. All right. So as you can see, as it broke down, I wound up getting a couple more receivers. John Mechie at 3-2, I think, was a really good value. Jalen Tolbert, I selected him over Mechie just for the one simple fact: Dak Prescott is going to be my starting quarterback on this team. So I was stacking there. Now I also do have Davis Mills, but he's only going to probably start if Dak goes down. So that's why Mechie was a secondary thing. Another reason at this secondary reason for the John Mechie trade or pick here, he was there. He was by far the best value, even though I was already sick of drafting young rookie, wide receivers. This is the caveat, right? Think about this. John Mechie has a decent shot at starting the season on the PUP list, right? So if he starts on the PUP, that's going to give me a spot. So I push him down to IR. I can pick up a defense, right? So now I only have to make one other roster move with what I have for the rest of the year, right? All right. So now we've got to get into this one. All right. So then I was sitting at 3-4 on the clock. And this is what I did, because this is going to be my last pick. And at this point, I'm like, all right, let's see if I can get some value back. So I traded back from 3-4 to 3-10, and I picked up a third round. Now, remember, I moved up into the early second round, which was Tolbert with 2/3. So now at 3-4, I get another third back for moving back 6 spots. I like it. So this is why I don't like seeing guys auto draft and pre-draft. So I think it makes a pretty good case right there for taking your time and working your draft a little bit. Don't overwork it. I mean, if you have 13 hours, if you haven't done anything by 6 hours and nobody's biting, just make your pick, man. But I mean, or even 3 hours, right? But if you throw out some offers and you're waiting on somebody, because you can see if they've you can see if they've logged in on the MFL, right? It tells you. So if you're waiting for somebody to see a trade that you offered them and they haven't done it, by all means wait. But if you don't have anything going on and you're just waiting for somebody to throw something at you, just make your pick after a couple hours. I mean, it's only common courtesy. Let's see here. So that was that. I think that's most of the stuff. And now we've got, and at 3-4, the guy jumped up and got Velus Jones, right? So let's get rid of that one. Boom. So we don't need that one anymore. All right, so we're going to continue on with the slideshow. All right, so what did I wind up getting? So as I kind of already had said, that I had picked Bell, Tolbert, Mechie to go with all the other wide receivers that I'd already gotten. Picked up Marshall, right? In the trade right before the draft. I picked up Mooney, I picked up Ridley. All right, to go with Bateman, to go with Shark, to go with Russell Gage, to go with Corey Davis. So I was already, wide receiver out at this point for sale. I mean, LaVishka and some other guys, older guys. I mean, I missed out on Kenny Galladay. Yeah, whatever. So I wanted to pick up Pierre Strong just because I think that he has the opportunity to get some touches. He might have some increased in value, and maybe I can trade him away before the season starts. Or maybe keep him if it looks good, right? So I'm playing the balancing game with that. So this is what my roster looks like after the draft, I'm pretty sure. Yep. So this is what I have going currently right now. And if you notice, I don't have a kicker and I don't have a defense. Once again, with the John Mechie situation, he's probably going to be hurt or on the PUP or IR to start the year. So I can put him on my IR. I can pick up a defense. That leaves me one roster move that I need to make. And somebody's going to get hurt. There's going to be an issue with somebody who needs somebody, and they're going to make me an offer, and I'm going to sell somebody because I've got a plethora of wide receivers here, right? So this is kind of where the team is at. I think it's a pretty strong team. Roto Trade, I put the team in, and it says I'm going to make the playoffs and lose in the first round. Well, that may be, and it may be the case. But if I can make the playoffs with this team that I didn't want, with one draft, change it around in one draft, right? Now, when I got this team last year, I kind of made the video prior to this, and I said what I was trying to do when I was working some of the trades and getting picks. But, in the back of my mind, my goal was to try and sell this team. Well, I think this is a very sellable team, and a couple new guys came in, and it breathed a little bit of life into this league. So maybe I'm going to wind up keeping this league. I'm not sure. If I win some money, I mean, if it pays for itself, then I'll play it again, right? Run it back. We'll see what happens with it. Like I said, to me, it looks like a pretty good team. It looks like I've got some upside with some of these guys. I can create some value with some of these guys. I can field a pretty good starting lineup. I mean, right now it looks like it's going to be Dak. I mean, I would say Chubb, Swift, and Gibson. And then I've got Walker on the bench for bye weeks and injuries. So Walker is still probably going to get 4 to 6, probably starts at least this year. So is that great? No, but next year his ADP or his value should be skyrocketed. I see the same thing for Walker as what happened to Williams, Javonte Williams this year, where he had a timeshare and he's projected to be the starting guy this year, even though Gordon came back, and his value went through the roof. He's worth 2 first-round picks. People were trading him for. So with that being said, I've got that set up, right? I picked up Strong, who may or may not wind up being something. I've only taken a 3rd-round pick on him, and I got a 3rd-round pick to move back for him anyways. So I still have a 3rd-round pick next year, even if I cut him. So at this point, with my starting lineup, I mean, I've got probably Bateman, Mooney, Shark, probably Corey Davis, probably the top four guys, and then Russell Gage. So just with that start right there, plus with the rookies and going forward, I think that I'm pretty well covered for any scenario with all these wide receivers. Dalton Schultz, I think, is going to be right on the verge of a top 5 tight end. And I think Robert Tunyon's going to be in there as a top 10 tight end. So I think that this is a pretty darn good team, even though I think that if at first glance take a look at it, it doesn't look so good. Now, next year, this team could be really good, right? And then I think I've got the next slide here is, there you go. I do have a first. So this is what all the accumulation of all the trading has done for me. I've revamped the roster. I've made it younger. I've made it better. I've got upside guys like even Palmer on my wide receiver bench. And I still have my first, my second. I've got 2 thirds, 2 fourths, and a fifth. So during the season, I can make moves for the next 2 years. And I can also have plenty of draft capital for next year, right? I can still move around prior to the draft and during the draft. So this is what I try to stress to be able to do, because anytime you can store value, and that's what your future picks are, they're a store of value. Do it. Treat them like they're precious. I mean, people throw them away, they don't want them. I mean, the rail ball is 7, 4th-round draft pick. It may wind up being 4-12, but during the year, this year, on week 6, if he is 3-3 or 4-2, right, doesn't really matter. If I need a player who's a marginal player for this year to keep in the running because I've hit a bad bye, or I'm coming up on some bad bye weeks, if I've got a bunch of injuries, I can take that pick and throw it away and pick up somebody who's marginally decent at that point. So this is what the roster construction is all about. And hopefully then you stack up on guys at the end of the season, also like I did, fill up your IR with marginal guys as the best you can and go from there. So that's kind of the whole list with the Dynasty. So that was the results here for my for sale team for the MFL, on MFL, my for sale team. And 2022, 1 quarterback, PPR, Dynasty, standard weekly, right? So that's what we have, and that's the results. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, you can give me some comments down below whether you liked it or you didn't, right? Let me know if you think some of the moves I made were stupid. But subscribe first, like or dislike, and comment below, right? If you want to, I'll be having another couple of teams coming up here shortly. I'm following one other draft, so I'm going to be doing another video with the average draft position for 6 leagues, I think, of this type. I'm kind of just specializing and trying just to give results because I only do the 1 quarterback PPR standard dynasty leagues. So that's what I know really well, and that's what I'm trying to put out there for people. All right. This has been the results. Like, click, and subscribe. Comment below. Call me a buffoon. There you go. All right. Have a great day. Hope you enjoyed.